Alright, hello everyone. My name is Disc. I'm a title healer from the War Within, and this is a Windrunner Spire Mythic 0. Not too much to this key. You can probably close your eyes and get through a Mythic 0, especially if you've seen me playing beta. I was playing this on a 17, so we can't, I don't think, talk too much about the key here in a Mythic 0. The mechanics just really don't hit the same, but I wanted to continue making videos to kind of fill the void before the season starts. And I do have new things I want to talk about in this video so it can still serve a purpose for anyone who watches. But I've had some changes to my UI, mainly with my grid 2. So keep an eye out for that. And I want to talk about talents as well. I've kind of moved a couple of my talent points around, and I'm having a lot of fun experimenting with that. But before we get into the video, I wanted to promote my Metafy, so go check me out over there. It's going to be a great way to support the channel and grow as a player. I offer private lessons where we can cover pretty much anything you want with Discipline, Oracle, Voidweaver, UI, pretty much anything. And as an effort to promote my YouTube and my Metafy, I wanted to start doing something new, which I think will be fun for myself and it will be fun for viewers. But I want to, I guess, kind of do a raffle. So every video I post, if you like and comment on the video, I'm going to pick at random from the comments, and I'm going to offer freebie VOD reviews. So this is something I offer through Metafy, but just to keep content going and help kind of like the algorithm, I'm going to do this raffle. So anytime I post a video, I'm going to pair it with a VOD review of a viewer. So all you have to do is record one of your own runs, upload it on YouTube, upload it on Google Drive or something like that, and then I will review it for you and post it on my YouTube. So the idea here is to promote my Metafy. The idea is to promote my YouTube, get the algorithm going before the season starts. So just food for thought. If you're interested in a VOD review, comment, like, and I will pick at random, and we can do VOD reviews. We can connect, and yeah. So before we get this key going, I wanted to flash the talents and talk about a couple things I have changed. And I think one of the biggest changes here was spurred by the update to Shadowmend. And I'm not sure if it was a bug, but at the start of beta, it just wasn't pairing at all with our defensive points on the priest side. So Binding Keels was not triggering, and Protective Light was not triggering with Shadowmend. But now it is. And I still don't think it's perfect. For example, I've run into it a couple times. If you're mid-cast of Shadowmend and the buff fades, you lose your cast. I don't think that's intended. I've submitted a bug report, but it has actually affected my gameplay more than once. I think we might even see it in this key. But the other change is I'm playing 2 of 2 Expiation. If you saw my Voidweaver video, I was only going 1 of 2, and that's for a couple reasons. I don't necessarily like the gameplay of Expiation, but it just hits like a truck, especially since we're banking into all this shadow damage, shadow healing. It really hits like a truck. It's not too hard to use it. You just have to kind of make sure you're executing or playing death on mobs with dots. But it does kind of affect your dot spread with your penance, so it's just something you have to think about. It changes your gameplay quite a bit. But yeah, so with the changes to Shadowmend, wanting to go 2 of 2 Expiation, what I've done is I'm not taking my final Apex talents. And I think this is something other priests are doing. I think I've even heard druids are doing this selectively. But as Voidweaver, I don't see that much value in this final Apex talent compared to banking it back into my talent tree. So I've sacrificed this point to allow me to take Shadowmend, to allow me to get 2 of 2 Expiation. But another thing I'm doing, and I think this is different than most, so just take it with a grain of salt. I consider this a choice node, lenience over Holy Ray. At least in a Mythic 0, I'm going to take Holy Ray. It's just more output, and I'm pairing that with 1 of 2 Blaze of Light. So I really want to take Blaze of Light. It's going to give us extra smite damage, which is very important for us. The smite combos over here is giving us extra penance damage, which combos to the Holy Ray. And it gives us the movement speed. And the movement speed is something I utilize a lot on myself, but it's just something I'm wanting to take and want to play with. Yeah, the synergy between smite here and here, the synergy between penance here and here, I just like that. And we're going 2/2 Expiation and Shadowmend. But I think that's all I wanted to talk about. Keep an eye out for the changes to my grid too. All of that is shared through my Metafy. I made some pretty cool updates to it that help us see where our dispels are more clearly, help us discern between dispels that are ours and not ours. And I think it's a lot more on track with how I used to set up my UI with WeakRs. But yeah, with all that being said, let's go ahead and clip over to the key. All right, here we go. I don't think I've ever posted M0 on my channel, but I think we can still talk about it. And especially if you're new to Discipline or new to these dungeons, I hope there's something you can learn from it. I would say as a critique to our tank here, I'd pull this full room. You can do it on a 17, you can do it on M0. So I'm pulling for him a little bit. Maybe not the best move as a healer, but something we have to think about. Here they start coming. We see in party are magic dots. I'll be seeking executes in the field for our Shadow Fiend pets. But this is a great place for Mass Dispel as a priest. The first pull, especially if you do the full room, you're going to have like 4 magic dots out at once. On higher level keys, that will kill the party. So Mass Dispel, I think I played it back there somewhere, but yeah, you're going to want Mass Dispel. Here goes an uppies for good measure. I don't think I play uppies too well here, just because it's kind of not needed and I'm just like hitting my smites instead. But quick note on uppies, and I think I do it there if you replay it, but there is some min-maxy tech to uppies if you don't know this. You can squeeze in a spell cast at the front end of uppies and the back end of uppies. So on the front end, right before you go up, it's a cast followed by a channel. In that gap, you can fit in 1 global. So you can play like a death before you go up, which is what I think I did. Potentially you could play like, you know, a shield before you go up if your tank is missing an atonement. You could even play a penance before you go up. You're just not going to get all the bolts. And then on your way down, if you start a cast before you fall, you can fit in 1 more extra spell. So like on your way down, you could precast a Radiance. If your Rift is out, you could precast a Void Blast. You could precast a Flash Heal, things like that. So practice getting casts, that extra cast, on the front and back of uppies. But I think we're going to start seeing in party here. This was the change I made to my grid 2. So dispels that we can control, magic and disease, they're going to show up as a solid border around the player, indicating it's ours. But things like poisons or curses, which are not, they'll show up as dotted. So you still want to see the indication because it means that's someone you have to heal. But we differentiate between if it's a dotted line or solid line. Yeah, so there's some dotted lines for poisons. Good to know it's there, good to see it, but there's nothing we can do except heal it. And then also, I want to try and get in better practice of this. Chime in if anyone has thoughts on this. But now that our death has so much more importance in our rotation, you know, if we're taking 2 of 2 expiation, I feel like playing it before your Rift is going to be the right play, rather than sacrificing a Void Blast for death. I think it's all going to boil down to the situation. And I'm not in good practice of it yet, but it is something that's kind of on my mind. Is I might want to play my death before I go into my Rift. You could also think, you know, if I'm delaying my Rift to play a death, that could be lost as well. I think sometimes just getting your Rift out sooner rather than later is going to be better. But there was an example. Hard to see it happen pretty quick on this key level. But we have a talent where our death hits a lot harder on a shield. So something to always keep an eye out for with your nameplates. If you're using My Platinator, it's pretty easy to see them. But always look in the field for executes for death. Always look in the field for mobs with shields for your death. And if you execute or death a shield, it returns this extra healing too, so just something to note. And so with this boss, this is a great time to practice your dot management just with your penance. I would say the perfect play of dot management on a fight like this is never having to cast your dot but once at the start. So this disease, let's say it's a higher key, the poison, that is really the only thing you need to track when it comes to timing your rift. But we don't see too much impact on a 0. So yeah, back to dot spread. Really all you want to think about, and it's not going to be perfect because we have adds that spawn here, is but between every penance, just switch your target, and you're going to be able to keep your dots up that way. 2 dots out is more than 0 dots out. Now we're moving on. No loot. I've already done this dungeon. I just did it again for sport and to make a video. And you might have also noticed, so my spells in the middle, I highly encourage this. You probably heard me talk about it before, but I don't use the cooldown manager. I see no point in it. In the middle of my screen, those are just my action bars, which I've configured, I guess kind of in an artistic way, but with the intention to like help me play my spells better. Uh-oh, wrong way. So those are just action bars, but I do use the cooldown manager to track my Shadowmend procs, and you might see that pop up above my Radiance and Shield. Also on the theme of shields, you're not going to see too much play with this in a lower key, but the more you can play your shield out of combat, the better. It's going to affect your pain sups. And that Mass Dispel was bad. I thought it was me and the mage.
Peacekeeper of our family. She spent many days tending to the gardens here, but the wilderness has overtaken it now.
Yep, we see those magics as a solid line. It means it's ours. This fire spit here, we see it highlight as an aqua. Blizzard is calling that an important cast. Executed a shield there. But so for the fire spit, that is a great place to start practicing your psychic scream. Your CC, your fear, can interrupt it. And on higher keys, you're gonna need that. I also play Shadow Meld, so Shadow Meld can interrupt it if it's on yourself. And I believe that was my first cancel aura for the Entropic Rift, something you've got to practice as Voidweaver, collapsing it on your command rather than letting it collapse on nothing. Let's see, I think you want to pick one of the humans here. They have more health. Yep, we can see my little Shadowmend tracker right there. You know, that module, if you will, or whatever, for WoW, I think they call it like the cooldown tracker. I don't know what they call it, but I kind of only want to use it for one thing at a time. And right now I'm tracking just the Shadowmend. I don't really see the need to track too much more than that as Discipline. Arguably, you don't even need to track the Shadowmend. I'm kind of just experimenting. But yep, switching my targets around for dot spread. That was another early collapse just to get the damage. But what does it matter in an M0? Okay, so coming up we have like this meanie right here. I don't know what his name is. But we have one attack here that will bite you in the butt as you get in higher keys. It's called the Spore Dispersal. You want to overlap your rift with this. It is heavy group damage. Not too much of an impact here though. PI is coming up in 10, but we're going to want it on boss. These next two guys, great place to practice again your psychic screen. They have the fire spit. I don't think I play it just because it doesn't matter. But on higher keys, you're gonna wanna. There's some more shields on enemies. Great place for your Shadow Word Death.
Well now, that Dragonhawk seems to have stolen.
And on
my
this
heart.
boss, again, you'll see the impact on higher keys. But we open with a 2-target cleave dot straight into group damage. So it's a little bit of a bait if you play your Mind Blast on pull. So you see I'm holding my Rift, I'm holding my Mind Blast. In a higher key, you'd probably give those two guys, or one of them, a defensive penance. Because you want to hold your Rift for this. So here goes my Rift. Boss is already at half health. So I think, if I remember right, yeah, I just play Evangelism here, just trying to get some damage grab because the boss is going to die. But Evangelism, obviously, you want to play it in good timing on bosses to counter attacks. On Trash, I'm just playing Evangelism full stop for the damage, really. But hopefully soon we can edit our boss abilities that we track. Really all I would track is this. The Burning Gale. But
Beautiful.
boss down.
She reminds me of Varese.
Yeah, so Rift goes on Burning Gale. Defensive penance or paints ups go on the 2-target cleave attack.
Come. We have
And
one
that's
more
about it.
relic to find.
I would say play your Desperate Prayer if you're targeted with a 2-target cleave. Play Desperate Prayer and Fade on the 2-target cleave. Play Fade, obviously, on the Gale. And we have a little bit of a whoopsie-doopsie-whoopsie on this one from the tank. I reflexed to paint sub him. But you'll notice, if you want to replay it, I can just tell you though. I'm not sure if he had a cooldown to give, but he didn't play any defensive. And the way my grade 2 is set up is personal defensives or external defensives are going to show up on the outside on the right of the party frames. Yeah, so you can see his bark skin is active right there. He died without bark skin running. Who's to say if he had it or not? But yeah, he died with nothing. I went to reflex to paint sub him, but it all just happened too quick. Platinator is going to be great for Voidweaver. You've heard me talk about it before, but yeah, you can see the nameplates change from a red to white when in execute range. It's going to be a really good way to kind of help call your attention to maximize your executes.
Valeria hunted the old horde with a ferocity bordering on obsession. For good reason. They took my life, savaged our home. One of Valeria's scouting maps is within. It seems to have called on the ghosts of vengeance past.
Okay, these pulls.
From them.
Really not too much to them. Just attack them. Throw in uppies just to play it. I'm really not focused on my penitence uptime of this key. But obviously, I've been sitting on that spell and playing it more is better. Evangelism for the DPS. And we can start seeing here, similar to the curses and poisons, these red dotted lines, these are indicating bleeds. Also for us to see and heal, but not for us to dispel. And these mechanics here we see from the Phantasmal guys or whatever. We're going to see them on bosses too. We're getting an audition of these attacks before boss. So chain lightnings are for interrupts, not that I don't think we can do anything about that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe a fear can interrupt it. But we also have the Fire Nova. So we're going to see both those attacks on boss. And pretty much just if you full send your Rift on these trash pulls, you'll have healing to cover the Fire Nova. Not a bad idea to play defensive when the Fire Nova goes out. Probably just a fade. Okay, so here goes boss. We have mechanics that trigger at 66 and 33. Although this is just a 0, I made mistakes on this in my 17. And I told myself and viewers that I'm going to learn from them. And I think that's really all you can get from beta. Make some mistakes, learn from the mistakes, learn the mechanics. Grip the tank here because he was going to die. And it looks like these guys don't know the mechanic. Maybe I don't want to put words in their mouth, but they messed it up. They're getting feared. Okay, so we just crossed the 66 threshold. He's going to start doing the whirlwind. And he takes no damage here. So you want to put your spells on the adds. So this is a single target dot and a Mythic 0 that calls for nothing. Hierarchies. Definitely going to want to be a pain sup. At the very least, a shield. Uh-oh, tank is feared. Yeah, so that mechanic, if you don't know, you don't have to stack with group. You just have to stack with someone. But as a priest, not a bad utility play to use your grip. And I think you saw me do that on the first one. Grip the tank in to save his fear, but not a bad idea to play your grip on cooldown if someone needs it. A couple ways you can go about it. I would say maybe you can, if you can't make it to the group, you can grip a ranged to you to kind of save yourself. Or if you see someone sitting outside the group, you can grip them in to save them. And yep, just while talking about grip, it's the main reason I fight for friendly nameplates. So without friendly nameplates, it's really hard to tell who's who, and you're not going to be able to maximize your grip as well. So party nameplates for the win. Turning off your CVARs, I think, is a fair compromise. You know, some people would say the friendly nameplates is clutter, yet they keep on their combat text. And that's just maybe a difference in how I see things. I don't think combat text is anything to help you, meaning it's true clutter, where party nameplates have, you know, the potential to help you. It's very important as a priest. Okay, opening with evangelism. Not necessarily needed here in M0, but we do have this first mechanic. So this boss, if you don't know it, if you notice in party, everyone has a little dot. You clear the dot by touching an arrow. But the arrows have a dual purpose. You also want the arrow to jump this wave. The better you can jump the wave with a penance in your back pocket, the better. That way you don't have to interrupt your spell casting. Obviously a death counts too. But yeah, I think what I did there is I really tried to fiend for smites while I could stand still. And I banked my movement spells like Penance and Death for the air. Something else I'm trying to do, I'm having to get in better practice with using 2 of 2 Expiation, is play Penance first when you can. Because you're going to keep your dot healthier, you're going to extend your dot's duration, rather than, let's say, hypothetically, you death first, eat up your dot entirely, and then your painful punishment does nothing because there's no dot. Boom. But Mythic 0, not too much to it. I hope there was still something you could gain from this video. I tried to talk about things that maybe hadn't been focused on too much yet. But if you're getting just back into WoW, maybe you didn't pay too much attention to beta. Maybe if you're new to Discipline or new to these dungeons, I hope there's something you could take away from here. I'm 4th on the damage, which is a nice place to be. Who knows how that will sit as the season begins. But I'm really liking Voidweaver for Mythic Plus. I think in higher keys, Oracle's probably going to come back into play. Time will tell, but damage is important in Mythic. In my opinion, it kind of always will be. But yeah, I'm quickly going through the damage here. It's not going to be a fair read just because pulls don't survive the same. But the more comfortable you can get with your torments, understanding that rotation, something I'm challenging myself with is becoming more comfortable with 2 of 2 expiation, trying to play penance first when I can to not eat my dot up before I play the penance, but focusing on dot spread, focusing on death on mobs with dots, focusing on death on mobs with shields, playing evangelism as much as you can for DPS on trash, playing evangelism to counter damaging events on bosses, playing our Rift with the highest uptime you can, playing Ultimate Penitence with the highest uptime you can, and using our utility spells like Psychic Scream to interrupt important casts, using our Grip to help teammates who are missing the fear, playing our defensives, Desperate Prayer and Fade anytime that there's an attack. All of those things are going to be amazing ways for you to start min-maxing your tune and really pulling your weight in a key. So again, check me out on Medify. Book me for a private lesson if you're looking to level up your gameplay. Again, I'm starting this raffle, so any comment is going to be picked at random for a free VOD review. So like and comment, please. And I'll start doing free VOD reviews for you where we can critique your gameplay. Maybe you can give me a focus on what you'd like to critique, areas that you think you have weaknesses, and I can focus on that in the review itself. But I'll be posting those on YouTube to kind of cross-pollinate promotion of my Medify and the YouTube. So, yep, thanks everyone for tuning in. Stay tuned for new videos coming in the future. Potentially let me know if there's anything you'd like to see in videos while we're in this dead zone before this season. But yeah, until next time, Disc out.